When a sea and air confrontation evolves into a silent battle in the electromagnetic spectrum, whoever masters the heights of electronic warfare will have the power of life and death in the modern battlefield. 2025 June. In the blue waters about 200 kilometers north of the Diaoyu Islands, the Liaoning aircraft carrier formation is carrying out routine training. The Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, JMSDF, responded quickly by dispatching the destroyer Takanami, a P-3C anti-submarine patrol aircraft, and 4 F-15J fighters loaded with live ammunition to monitor the situation. The F-15Js tried to forcibly cross the Liaoning's airspace at one point, posing a serious threat to the carrier's safety. At this moment, an electronic game that does not smell the fire, but is thrilling quietly opened the curtain. The Chinese Navy J-15D electronic fighter sword has been sheathed. The flight deck of the Liaoning ship instantly boiled. A number of J-15 carrier aircraft in 45 seconds to complete the loading, skidding into the air. Two of the unique shape of the two-seat fighter is particularly eye-catching, wingtip hanging angular electronic warfare pods. The fuselage to cancel the gun and painted light gray naval camouflage. This is just a short time after the service of the J-15D. Electronic warfare Raptor. They are quietly coming out in electromagnetic silence, like hunters in the dark night. When approaching to 80 kilometers away from the Japanese aircraft, the J-15D suddenly started the high-power jamming system. In an instant, the F-15J pilot's radar screen was covered by a blizzard of noise, and the a PG-82 radar was completely ineffective, not only unable to lock onto the target, but also cutting off the guidance link of the AIM-120C air-to-air missile. The Japanese pilots confessed afterward, the electronic warfare system was impossible to counter, and we completely lost the ability to perceive the battlefield. At the same time, the OPS-24 phased array radar of the destroyer Takanami and the communication and navigation system of the P-3C were also paralyzed, and even the GPS signal disappeared. The whole Japanese fleet fell into the desperate situation of deaf and blind, and could only rely on inertial navigation to withdraw in a difficult situation. The J-15D's crushing advantage comes from its revolutionary design. The two large electronic support and reconnaissance pods on the wingtips, together with the multi-band jamming device in the belly of the aircraft, can simultaneously carry out precise suppression of 32 targets in different frequency bands within 200 kilometers. More critically, its energy system utilizes the entire aircraft's internal power supply mode, and its power far exceeds the limitations of the US EA-18G Growler, which relies on air propellers to generate power. Airborne active phased array radar to replace the traditional mechanical scanning radar, combined with the backseat electronic warfare officer operated by the intelligent jamming system, so that the warplane has both signal location, spectrum analysis and electromagnetic attack capabilities. This kind of soft kill seems to be mild, but actually deadly, if the J-15 launched anti-radiation missiles at that time. The loss of radar cover, Gaobo, can only rely on the two limited-range, dense array, close defense systems struggling to survive. On the other hand, Japan's equipment in the battle, the technology gap is exposed. The F-15J is equipped with a LQ-239 electronic warfare system, can locate the source of jamming, but because it is not equipped with anti-radiation missiles, and lost the means of counterattack. Takanami, as Japan's main destroyer, its 6,300-ton hull-loaded weapons are still mainly anti-submarine. Air defense rely on ESSM missiles with a range of only 50 kilometers, and lack of adaptive capacity to deal with the complex electromagnetic environment. More fatal is that the Japan Air Self-Defense Force has long relied on the US electronic warfare system. Pilots' lack of high-intensity electromagnetic confrontation training. When encountered J-15D, this kind of professional electronic warfare aircraft specifically designed to blind modern information nodes born, the Japanese side from the equipment to the tactical lag is infinitely magnified. China's electronic warfare system is far more advanced than a single weapon. Land-based J-16D and sea-based J-15D constitute a double-buy. Fujian ship will soon carry the J-15DT catapult-type electronic warfare aircraft will be upgraded. The model strengthened spine electronic cabin, adapted to electromagnetic catapults, can be with KJ-600 AWACS 055 type destroyer to build a distributed electromagnetic combat network. Japan's attempt to Izumo class carrying F-35B idea in the J-15D electromagnetic barrier, before the elasticity of the limited number of F-35B in shorter range. Its airborne electronic warfare system is more focused on self-defense, rather than regional suppression. After the future Fujian ship service, by 24 J-35, F-12 J-15T, 4K J-604 J-15DT air wing can realize 180 times a day to take off by catapult, then China's electromagnetic attack and defense strength of the carrier will be another quantum leap. The depth of the battlefield of electronic warfare has long exceeded the visual distance. When the electromagnetic beam of J-15D penetrates the clouds, the Electronic Warfare Command Center of the North Sea Fleet in Qingdao is monitoring the battlefield spectrum situation in real time through the Starfish satellite system. On the giant screen in the command hall, the whole process of the red light spots, representing the Japanese radar signals from intensive blinking to sudden extinction, was precisely recorded. This electronic reconnaissance network covering the Western Pacific consists of 24 low-orbit satellites and 12 high-altitude, long-endurance drones, which can scan the spectrum of a specific area once every 2 minutes. It is based on the radar parameters of the Japanese aircraft provided by this system. J-15D can implement targeted interference. This confirms that the Chinese Navy has built space detection, air suppression, sea denial, trinity of electronic combat system. The balance of history in the electromagnetic space quietly tilted. In 1997, the East China Sea crisis, Japan's King Kong class destroyer Spy-1D radar has been firmly locked Chinese ships, while the old Type 051 destroyer radar cannot even find the target 100 kilometers away. The root cause of today's change in offense and defense is that China's military industry has completed a generational leap in electronics technology. J-15D equipped with Kunpeng jamming system, for example, its core gallium nitride power devices can make a single jamming unit output power of 20 kilowatts, equivalent to 5 times the same type of equipment in Japan. More critical is the entire system of independent control, from chip design to algorithm development, completely localized. While the Japanese F-15J electronic warfare system core code is still subject to the U.S. arms dealers, this technical autonomy translates into an overwhelming advantage in the confrontation when the Japanese pilots desperately switch the alternate frequency. The intelligent learning system of J-15D has already implemented the secondary suppression through frequency hopping tracking. The essence of confrontation in electromagnetic space is system confrontation. In the operation of Liaoning fleet, the shipboard electronic warfare system of 055 type destroyer also plays a key role. The S-X dual-band radar integrated with its integrated or F-mast keeps electromagnetic silence while detecting the F-15J formation, and transmits the target information to the J-15D only through the data chain. And this tactic of a shooting and be guiding makes the Japanese side unable to locate the position of the jamming source at any time. As for the Japanese formation, due to the different standards of data chain of each platform, there is a delay in the transmission between the OYQ-11 tactical system of the Takanami ship and the Link 16 data chain of the F-15J, which leads to the delay in the response of the whole formation. The gap in system integration is infinitely magnified in the millisecond-level battle of electromagnetic confrontation. The winners and losers of future naval battles are being rewritten. The Fujian ship's electromagnetic catapult will give the J-15DT stronger battlefield survivability. Traditional electronic warfare aircraft need to maintain straight-line flight to implement interference, and are very vulnerable to air defense missile attacks. While the J-15DT ejected from the ship has 35% more fuel capacity, it can adopt the tactics of jamming, maneuvering, jamming again, and cooperate with the shipborne anti-radiation missiles to carry out the combination of soft and hard strikes. More noteworthy is the development of shipboard unmanned electronic warfare platform. China is testing the Dark Sword drone, can go out to the carrier formation 400 kilometers away from the implementation of electromagnetic deception. This distributed electronic warfare system, once formed, will completely subvert the manned aircraft as the core of the traditional electronic countermeasures model. From the 90s Japanese 88 fleet in the East China Sea technology leadership to today's Liaoning fleet to electronic sword counter-provocation, this silent electromagnetic storm shows the modern rules of naval warfare profound changes. When the electromagnetic power becomes the premise of air and sea control, only those who master the hegemony of the spectrum can dominate the deep blue. The waves split by the Chinese aircraft carrier battle group have already reflected the bright light of sea power in the new century.